Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Proverbs, the 25th chapter. These are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. Yeah, because during the time of King Hezekiah, he had them, gather out some more of Solomon's Proverbs, and to preserve them. So you'll notice that sometimes, like, there's some Proverbs that sound repeated, like ones in a different chapter or similar to ones that were already mentioned in the previous chapter. That's it happens, right? When you're trying to preserve certain writings of old, because they compiled all these and put them together as best they could. Verse 2, it is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. So it says it is God's privilege to conceal things, and the king's privilege to discover them. So the Most High has the right to hide certain things, as he does. But a king, can search these things out, like Solomon did, with his wisdom and his ability to seek out wisdom, right, and seek and search out and experiment, different things, understand different mysteries. The heaven for height and the earth for depth, and the heart of kings is unsearchable. So just as you can't search out the heavens for height, and you can't search out the earth for its depth, it's like it keeps on going. Likewise, the minds of kings are unsearchable. Take away the dross from the silver, that's the impurities, and there shall come forth a vessel for the finer. And let's go into that word finer. It might be used for melting or purifying. Yeah, to smelt, to refine, to test. Yep, that's used for purifying those metals, like silver. It says, take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. So just like you take away the dross or the impurities from silver, and as a result, there comes forth a vessel for the finer, right, to be refined. Likewise, if you take away wickedness from the king, from before the king, his throne will be established in righteousness. It's like purging off the dross and the impurities from the king, right, by taking out those that may influence him in a wicked way, and therefore establishing his throne in righteousness. Put not forth thyself in the presence of the king, and stand not in the place of great men. It says, don't demand an audience with the king, or push for a place among great men. Because eventually what's going to happen, right? It says, for it is better that it be said unto thee, come up hither, than that thou shouldest be put lower in the presence of the prince whom thine eyes have seen. Yahushua said the same thing, right? When you're bidden to a feast, don't seek the highest room, lest, while you're there, the host comes to you and says, hey, make way, for there's one that's more, honorable than you, who's going to sit there. And now you got to go in the presence of everybody down to a lower seat. So likewise, don't, as it says, don't try to seek that preeminence, that audience with the king, those high seats. Rather, it's better that you take a low route and you're called up, you're exalted, than to be abased. Go not forth hastily to strive, lest thou know not what to do in the end thereof, when thy neighbor hath put thee to shame. See, so don't be so quick. So let's read that in another translation. To go at it with somebody, right? To strive. Don't be in a hurry to go to court. For what will you do in the end if your neighbor deals you a shameful defeat? See, if a matter that can be sorted, that doesn't have to escalate to that point, but you're just so quick to take it there, and then you go and lose the case, then what? Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another. So if there's a matter, handle it with your neighbor, with that person, right? And don't discover a secret to another. Don't basically expose the things that are meant to be kept secret. Right? It says, when arguing with your neighbor, don't betray another person's secret, or debate your case with your neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another, lest he that heareth it put thee to shame, and thine infamy turn not away. Others may accuse you of gossip, and you will never regain your good reputation. Yeah, because you went and divulged secrets or a secret to another person, in the midst of conversation or an argument or a back and forth, and now it has ruined your reputation. This person can't be trusted. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. Okay, it's like it complements it complements, the timing or the matter or the situation or what the conversation, like apples of gold in pictures of silver. It says timely advice is lovely, like golden apples in a silver basket. Let's take a look at that word pictures. A figure, imagination, image, idol, picture, imagination, conceit. Right, so it can be used actually in the sense of like an image. Okay. NKJV, it says a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. NIV, like apples of gold in settings of silver, it's is a ruling rightly given, right? So you have settings, picture. Here, as it says, a silver basket, but I think it will make more sense in that setting or that image. Long story short, it complements it, right? It's perfectly fit, or it's lovely. Okay, it adds to it. It says here, an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold. So is a wise reprover upon an obedient ear. You see, so just like, you wear a gold earring, right, or an ornament, and it beautifies the wearer. That's what it's like when you have a wise reprover who, corrects an obedient ear. It goes together, right? The reprover is making better the obedient ear, and the obedient ear is receiving the reproof. So it's like it's working together to the betterment of both. As the cold of snow in time of harvest, so is a faithful messenger to them that send him, for he refresheth the soul of his masters. Because the cold of snow it's referring to like in the time of harvest is usually hot. So that cold of snow is like refreshing, like a cool, refreshing. And that's what it's like to, as it says, to have a faithful messenger. So is a faithful messenger to them that send him, right? It's comparing that feeling of like, no, that relief, knowing that you have a faithful messenger, that whatever it is you're sending is going to get to whoever, you're trying to send it to. It's almost like it's a done deal. And you don't have to worry about it. For he refresheth the soul of his masters, because they can rely on him. Whoso boasteth himself of a false gift is like clouds and wind without rain. It says a person who promises a gift but doesn't give it, right? That's that false boasting. It's like clouds and wind that bring no rain. Imagine you see the clouds, right? And you're expecting, okay, some rain is coming, it's gonna be what I need for my crops. And the clouds just pass by. It's real dark, right? Super, super dark. It gets real windy. And then nothing happens, nothing drops. You're gonna be like, what the hell is this shit? Right? It looks like it, but it didn't give forth anything. By long forbearing is a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh the bone. Patience can persuade a prince, and soft speech can break bones. Okay? And what that means is it's sometimes a soft speech is more effective, right? It's stronger, right, than trying to actually, use like threats or, trying to force something to happen. So because bones are really hard, right, to break. But what this means is that sometimes you don't need force. You need, like it says, a soft or a different approach, which is like a soft speech, which can get you much further than trying to use force, to accomplish a certain deed. That's the example of the soft tongue breaking bones, because literally that's not how it works, right? But figuratively, that's what it means. Hast thou found honey, eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomit it, right? So when you find honey, which the honey represents this word. Okay. And so when you find it and you eat it, like when you're consuming this, you got to do it in a balanced fashion. Don't try to consume too much. Don't try to do too much. Learn everything at once, because eventually it'll be too much and you're going to vomit it. You're going to throw it all back up. It's going to be have it in due season, so to speak. Withdraw thy foot from thy neighbor's house, lest he be weary of thee and so hate thee, right? When you withdraw your foot, meaning refrain from always being at your neighbor's house, for example. Don't be that person that's always at somebody else's crib, lest they get tired of you, and then eventually you start to become, reproachful onto them. Oh, this guy's here again, here to eat my food, sit here and crack jokes and fart and then leave. Like, bro, a man that beareth false witness against his neighbor is a maul and a sword and a sharp arrow. That's like the effect, right? It's like you're like let's go into that word maul, because that's how much damage you can do to somebody. It says a disperser, right? A scatterer, a breaker. A sword, we know what that is, and a sharp arrow. So you can wound somebody, and harm them and be very detrimental to them through a false witness, right? Like a maul or a sword or a sharp arrow. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. Damn. You in a time of trouble and you got to put your confidence in somebody you can't trust. It's like having a broken tooth or or a foot that's out of joint. You can't stand on it properly, and you can't eat with a broken tooth, right? You can't chew on it. As he that taketh away a garment in cold weather, and as vinegar upon nitre, so is he that singeth songs to an heavy heart. And heavy heart is somebody that's like, their mind, they got a lot in their mind, let's say. They're not in a good mood. So singing cheerful songs to a person with a heavy heart is like taking someone's coat in cold weather, or pouring vinegar on a wound. You're going to agitate them, right? It's not going to give the effect that you're expecting. What do you think is going to happen? You take somebody's coat away in the cold, they're going to get pissed, right? Or you pour vinegar on a wound, it's going to burn. So, it says here, that's like when you're you're singing cheerful songs to somebody that's in a heavy heart. They're not trying to hear that. So everything has its time and place. If thine enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. For thou shalt heap coals of fire upon his head, and the Lord shall reward thee. This enemy is your fellow Israelite that you may not like, or he may not be on good terms with you. But when you do something good to them, it's like they don't expect that, right? But when you do that good thing to them, you mess with their conscience. That's the heaping coals of fire upon his head, because now they get cut in their spirit, because they're like, damn, like I've done nothing but bad to this person, and this is what they did to me. It eats at them, and the Lord is going to reward you. Why would the Lord reward you for feeding an Edomite that that wants your hurt? Doesn't make sense, does it? The north wind driveth away rain, so doth an angry countenance a backbiting tongue. It says, as surely as a north wind brings rain, so a gossiping tongue causeth anger. NKJV says, the north wind brings forth rain, and a backbiting tongue, an angry countenance. And why is that? Because, if you're somebody that's gossiping, or you're talking, speaking ill about somebody, of course you're going to trigger anger, right? It's almost guaranteed. Let somebody find out who it is that's spreading all these heinous rumors about them, and you think they're not going to be angry? It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. And you notice, right? This is also a precept that's in a previous chapter, as well. But going to show you, this is to highlight the discomfort or the stress that comes with dwelling with a brawling woman. that it's better to dwell in a corner on the housetop, because at least you'll have some peace over there, than to deal with this loud and clamorous woman. As cold waters to a thirsty soul, so is good news from a far country, right? That's that relief. Imagine somebody very, very thirsty, and they get a cup of cold water, that refreshing, and that energy that they get. It's like hearing good news from a far country, some real good news, right? Something you're not even expecting. And you're just like, oh shoot, like you're excited, you feel rejuvenated. Verse 26, a righteous man falling down before the wicked is as a troubled fountain and a corrupt spring. If the godly give in to the wicked, it's like polluting a fountain or muddying a spring. Because the righteous, which usually brings forth, right works and right deeds, is likened unto this fountain, right? But if they give in to the wicked, their ways are now being corrupt, like the fountain bringing forth polluted water, or the spring being muddied. It is not good to eat much honey, for men to search their own glory is not good. So just as if you eat too much honey, you throw it up, or it's not, it doesn't sit right if you overdo it. That's what it's like, as it says, for men to search their own glory. It's not glory, it's not an honorable thing. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls, because you're defenseless, right? Anybody can come and attack you, right, or get you to falter, because you not having rule over your spirit is like being defenseless. If anybody can get you mad or trigger you, that's it. That's like a city without walls. It's vulnerable. And that brings us to the end of the book of Proverbs, the 25th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.